guillotine.
Any sport with a move called a flying guillotine is never going to be for everyone.
Picture this. It's the year 2000. The PS2 had just come out. Gladiator had hit theaters, and Say My Name was #1 on the Billboard charts. The internet was making its promise as the next big tool of society. Wow, 25 years ago it was. And it was 25 years ago that the UFC last ever appeared in Iowa at UFC 26. And before that, it was UFC 21. So why has it been so long? Well, we're finally back. We are back in the state of Iowa, the state of the Miletich fighting systems. If you don't know about Pat Miletich, it's okay. I forgive you. You might have been born yesterday. I was born the day before yesterday. So I have patience for you.
I think as far as history of Pat Miletich, hopefully somebody who was respected, basically. A guy that was a good fighter, a great trainer, and somebody who's respected, that treated people well. And I always try and remind my fighters that treat people awfully well on the way up, because if you don't on the way down, it's going to be an ugly thing. So just remember, don't burn bridges, and treat people with respect.
Pat Miletich is a UFC champ. He is a Hall of Famer. He has done it all. And with the Miletich fighting systems, the first ever fight camp of the UFC, we found the likes of Robbie Lawler, of Matt Hughes, of Tim Sylvia, of Jens Pulver. I mean, Iowa. We have to give our thanks to this state for what it has done for combat sports. And finally, we are back. And I am gonna be there. This is my first ever in-person UFC event. I am so excited. Can't wait. Me and my brother are driving our way out there and making it a family affair. I cannot wait to feel the vibes of the crowd and to blend right in with my Midwestern people. I mean, I know what it's like to live surrounded by corn. Pat Miletich, one of the best minds, hearts, and souls in the combat sports world. I really hope that he's in the crowd. That would be pretty cool. The last time that the UFC was in Iowa was UFC 26, and before that, UFC 21. Both of these cards featured Pat Miletich. We are finally back in Iowa. This is so exciting. This is UFC Bloodlines History Hall of Fame. I mean, we are talking not just Miletich, we're talking Hughes, we're talking Lawler, Silva, Pulver. The thing is the Miletich Fighting Systems is the first ever UFC super fight camp. I mean, absolutely changed the game, to say the least. And on this card, we have some bantamweight baddies. Yes, in our main event, but actually all over this card. We have so many bantamweight fights. I mean, it's a thick division on the men's side, thick on the women's side too, little less so for sure, but we've got both. We've got men and women baddies in the bantamweight. It's going to be great. We also have a major test for Bo Nickal, who has been a really hyped prospect. I mean, absolute wrestling prodigy, but still making his way. And this is going to be a real test of his MMA skills. And excitingly, we have Iowa native Jeremy Stephens making his return to the UFC alongside Mason Jones also making his return. But let's get into it all. And, we don't have all day, but I just need to remind you about some Iowa legendary. Pat Miletich, fought 11 times in the UFC, during which his career, the first ever lightweight champion and later the welterweight champion. I mean, this guy is an absolute legend. Iowa is the UFC. All right, let's get into these prelims. First up, we have a women's flyweight killer versus Arctic Fox. Juju Miller is 28 years old, and she can be known affectionately from myself as McScrappy, because although she has only a couple professional fights, she's definitely a scrapper. Former Invicta and tough winner, she is so fierce and so durable, but coming off of 2 losses and 20 months away. I mean, life has been lifing, but it's also been some major injuries to recover from as well. She's not really in the media, but was able to get that from her Instagram, and she is a submarine. All right, submarine in subland. We're going to be looking to stick. She's also a Lux Fight League commentator, which is very cool. And you know what? Shout out to her grandma. Rest in peace. Someone very close to her heart. It's always sad to lose someone close to you, and we're still fighting for grandma, all right? And also, happy early birthday, May 7th. She's going against Ivana Petrovic, who is never been finished and is quite a finisher herself. So coming off of 2 split decision losses, but has a lot of finishes in her record. And she's a choker, okay? Watch out for that rear naked choke. Yeah, but she can get it either way. Also in open for the knockout. First ever Aries champion. Very, very cool. And the co-owner of Orion MMA Academy. So leading the way. She's a cheese fan. She also likes dogs, which is why we chose the Arctic Fox. Key thing about these PowerPoints, if you don't see the nickname in quotes on their PowerPoint, it means that I had to choose it, all right? Not everybody has a nickname, but we got to give them one. So she's the Arctic Fox. And yeah, because they live in Norway. I thought that made sense. But she likes cheese. Check out her YouTube channel. Both 2 pretty sticky people who I feel like will be rolling a bit around the mat. This is a really big test for Juju, especially because of the big layoff. I think it's going to be an exciting way to start the card. Next, we have a heavyweight matchup going big, the Train versus Lord Kong. Thomas Peterson, the Train, is a former LFA champion and Dana White's Contender Series key lock submitter. Oh my goodness, this is his 4th UFC appearance coming off of a rough TKO loss, and we are 1-2 so far. He has that wrestling background, so watch out for that. He's a country boy, he's a family man, and he's a very talented diesel mechanic. That's some tough stuff, and he is absolutely ride or die with his wife. Okay, partner of 12 years, absolutely adorable. He is going against Dontel Meyers, Lord Kong, LFA to Dana White's Contender Series 3 times. So, it's been, a little up and down. UFC 2019, coming off of a sub loss to younger Victor Walker of the Walker brothers. And that was a weird one. Okay, that was a weird fight. We had a bit of a face hump situation. Anyway, so looking to come back from a really strange performance and kind of just a little bit of an up and down road in the UFC in general. We're on a 2-fight losing streak, really in need of some momentum. If there's one thing to look out with this guy, it's that wild right hook. A little bit suspicious of this one, just not sure how it's going to play out, but I'm thinking that Peterson has got this one a little bit more on the technical side, but, Dontel needs that momentum, so maybe he'll be coming out wanting it more. Then we have a men's bantamweight scrap. Here we go, bantamweights, let's go. The Dream Killer versus Bang. And if you don't know who that Dream Killer is pictured there, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, fine, I will. It's from Shark Boy and Lava Girl. So Gaston Balaños, the Dream Killer, is a Bellator gone UFC in 2023, and he has a boxy strike-ins, okay? A boxer strike-ins, looking for the strikes, little sub-vulnerable, so trying to avoid the takedown, but he's willing to go for the takedown himself, interestingly enough. Funny. He's kind of got a canceled bout curse, so, not seeing him as much as we want to. He's a surf guy over hanging in the Bay Area, and he's all about faith, fire, and focus. That's his motto. And motto, both. Right now, he's coming off of a decision win that he got in November, so look for this guy to be keeping it on the feet for the most part, especially against a subster like Kwang Lee. So Kwang Bang Lee, love that. That makes a lot of sense, was absolutely dominant in LFA from 2021 to 2024 and made his way to the UFC in 2004. 2024, and is 0-2 right now. Not looking amazing, but there's always a chance to get some major momentum, and we know he's got it in him. He's a BJJ purple belt. He's very confident in a pretty relaxed way, just assessing the situation in a calm manner, but he believes in himself, and he has never been submitted and is looking for the sub himself. So both losses were TKO. Not loving that, but we're in need of some momentum for our Vietnamese fighter. I think that Gaston will really be looking for the knockout, and since Kwang Lee has been finished twice in his last 2 fights, maybe it's looking likely, but maybe if he gets him to the ground, it's going to be all his world. Next, we have a absolutely fabulous women's strawweight fight, Skater Girl versus The Savage. Marina Rodriguez has made a name for herself in the UFC, fighting some incredibly tough competition, making her debut off the Dana White's Contender Series in 2018. 7-5 so far, but again, some fierce competition. She is Muay Thai 101 and is very clinchy and striky with it, really trying to keep it on the feet at all costs, honestly. Coming off of 2 losses that were both split, which is super frustrating, right? I mean, almost getting it done twice. Marina Rodriguez is absolutely ready for war, and she often takes it there. So she has been finished, but only by Lemos, as far as TKO. Only by Amanda Lemos, who we all know has some lead in those hands. So we can forgive that. And her, I would say that overall, you can confidently say that she is durable. She's got that durability. Also never been subbed, but not really looking for the sub as well. Again, a big striker, trying to keep it on the feet, fought some really tough competition. And doesn't go by Skater Girl, but as pictured, she is one for sure. She can do some tricks. And she is going against Jillian the Savage Robertson. I am such a fan of Jillian. And you know what? They're doing her dirty, kind of, because they're not, we're going to Montreal in just a few weeks. And this is the second time that they've had her fight a week before they're going to be in Canada. And she's Canadian. It's like, what are we doing here? We need to stack her on the Canada cards. It's okay. We'll forgive them, but not really. All right. And we learned this from the James Lynch interview, which we got to give a shout out to James Lynch, obviously one of the best MMA journalists in the game. And we really appreciate those interviews and getting to hear from our fighters, close to when they're going to be getting in the octagon and getting a feel for their headspace, learning fun things about them. But Jillian, if you don't know, she began her MMA journey at 16 and when she ran into Dean Thomas, okay, who will actually be in her corner. We love Dean Thomas. She's a BJJ black belt, tough 26, didn't go her way, but she was a part of the women's flyweight division debut. That's amazing. Historical. Still at the young age of 29, just shows you how much the sport has evolved in relatively a short time. And she is on a 3-fight win streak right now since going into the strawweight division. It's looking great. And she is the ultimate subby, right? Yeah, well, I'll tell you, most submissions out of any woman in the UFC. If anyone is the ultimate subby, she's on that list. She's fun, she's flirty, she's 420, she's rolling joints and breaking them. That's one of the best quotes from her. And she is an absolute animal lover and activist with 2 chihuahuas who she shares with her boyfriend. She's got a merch game. I wish I knew that earlier because I would have been showing up in the Jillian Robertson merch, but it'll be here soon. If you're a fan, check it out. She is a regular feature on the Fight Bananas podcast with Elle Dawson. I forget who else is on it, but that is a really great team of people. They're always having some really great voices, and she is one of those voices that is on there regularly. So it's great to hear from her. I think Jillian is confident that she can deal with Marina's striking and get her to the ground. Handle her there and get it done with a submission. I would love to see that. I love both these ladies. I know it's going to be an absolute scrap. This is a scrapper. Next, we have an amazing middleweight matchup between Man of Steel and Iron. Man of Steel, Ryan Loder, is such a cool guy. He just seems like such a sweetheart, a D1 wrestler who is the Team Alpha Male wrestling coach. And that is pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be coaching the wrestling specific, really speaks to his wrestling mind. And he's relatively new to MMA, so that's also kind of interesting. Only made that transition in 2020, and he was the TUF 32 winner, of which he absolutely dominated in that performance. And he is on a 5-fight win streak with a single decision loss, so we're talking durability, with a 70% finish rate. Watch out for this guy. He is active with the strikes, and he is a mental health advocate. Shout out Health Life Recovery, of whom he represents. He is just always speaking about the importance of mental health and advocating for people to take care of themselves and to reach out to each other. We love to see this. And he really knows the value of sanctioned violence, okay? A wonderful quote that I appreciate from him is, to be peaceful, you have to know how to be dangerous and how to control it. And ain't that the truth? Am I right? And a little fun thing about him, he's super outdoorsy. He's pretty much into every outdoor activity possible, and he loves being an adventure man with his amazing girlfriend. And he is going against Azamat Beco, who is the Iron. We made him into Iron Man because I figured that looked good, right? Superman, Iron Man, that's a cool matchup. And there's already Iron Michael Chandler, who we gave as like an actual Iron. Anywho, he is a 2-time LFA champion, and this is his second UFC appearance. So I think this is a pretty good even match. A little bit more on the experience, but I think they're going to be really great for each other. He has never been knocked out. He is on a 7-fight win streak, so 7-fight win streak, 5-fight win streak. He prefers to get subby with it. So I love that. Both of his decision losses are split as well. So this guy's ready for war. And he says, confidently but politely, that he's not concerned about Loder's wrestling. As a sub man himself, as someone who works with a lot of wrestling talent in his region, he's ready. And he's got a management degree, so he is a smart cookie. He is a smart cookie. The thing about these two guys is they are smart cookies. They are smart cookies on paper, and they are smart cookies visually when you watch them in there cooking. So this is a smart cookie fest. This is a matchup that will put these guys, whoever wins, in a really incredible position for what's next. I mean, this is a match to keep your eyes on for sure. I think this is our feature prelim, but who knows? This could end up on the main card. You never know. We have Foxy going against Cupcake. Yana Foxy Santos is definitely a fox, and she is a gymnast baddie. I mean, she can do so many things. She's a lifelong martial artist as well. Taekwondo in pre-K. I mean, hello. She represents both Russia and Florida, so that's fun. And she was all over the fight scene before making her way to the UFC in 2018, ACB, A1, Invicta. And it's been a little bit up and down, 5-5, but as a pioneer, she has faced some pretty tough competition. And not in the world of sub, though, let me tell you. Avoiding submissions at all costs. As a Taekwondo person, she's trying to keep it quirky on the feet and is really on that big decision grind or knockout. And again, it's Taekwondo, so we're kicky, we're leggy, and let's throw some clinch in there for some Muay Thai measure and get that body attack, but all around striking through and through. Coming off of a decision win against Chelsea Chandler, who came in really overweight, so that was strange. Yana looked pretty good out there, and she stopped a 3-fight losing streak. So that's really interesting, and something about Yana, this could be totally random, but she happens to win in pairs. So that could be a good, universe sign. She's faced some greats though, right? So she made her debut against Chris Cyborg for the featherweight title. That is insane. So definitely a pioneer. Things have continued to evolve, and the women's bantamweight division has felt a little stalled. And so this is a really much welcomed matchup. Very excited to see this. It's, this could have happened years ago. We're glad to see it now. Some other greats that Yana has faced is Aldana, Ladd, Holm. I mean, yeah, she's had some pretty serious competition, and she's going to get some pretty serious competition again. Miesha Cupcake Tate, or, Takedown Tate, that could be another nickname that she goes by, is a former FCF and UFC and Strikeforce champion. She entered the UFC at the year of 2013. I mean, hello, legend. Talk about veteran. Talk about facing many greats. I mean, she was wrestling as a kid and was a little bit MMA hesitant, but turns out she's great for it. And she is also the one champion vice president. So that's kind of a cool fact about her, really putting in her efforts to continue to expand and make the sport better. And that's what she does. She's always out there just being an advocate for women's sports and for the sports of mixed martial arts. She's the best. And we haven't seen her since 2023. So she's taking it fight by fight. She was retired, but not anymore. And the thing about Miesha Tate is she's always operating in that executive state of mind. You'll hear that come from her own mouth, basically trying to be as in there, not trying to, just black out and let things happen, making the adjustments and the decisions as you need to. Of course, we love to see it. And she's coming off of a face crank sub win against Avila, who is retired now, but that is a very, very cool win. But it's been a long time since then. She is genuinely one of my heroes. Miesha Tate is one of my heroes. I think she is such an inspiration. And she has a really great appearance recently on the Ancient Health podcast. Just, again, talking about mental health and the mind, all of the mind stuff around fighting. This is going to be a great matchup. Really exciting to see Miesha Tate back. I mean, what an absolute legend. I think that it's going to be Takedown Tate. That is my theory. My theory is we are going to get Takedown Tate all in there, and she's going to try and control in that space. We'll see if she gets it done. We'll see if Yana is able to keep it on the feet, and if so, keep the distance. This is going to be a good one. All right, we've made it to our main card. At least I think that's the order that the fights are going in. Sometimes we get conflicting information, but this is the main card, so we think. Little Heathen is going up against the Dragon in a lightweight scrapperoo. Jeremy Stevens, Little Heathen Stevens. A little heathen, I guess a heathen is someone who doesn't believe in organized religion, though I think he's just going for the rhyme. Anyway, he's representing Des Moines, so our Iowa native is making his return. I mean, he's a UFC veteran, 2007 Hello, had a little bit of a PFL stint after getting cut from the UFC, and then went on to be a bare knuckle fighting undefeated boxer. That is some scary stuff, because that's who Jeremy is. He's a striker. Not just a striker, but the one that really puts the hurt on you. You know, he's got some power in those hands, and his UFC return has finally come. I mean, I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. I wasn't ready, and because he went on a 5-fight losing streak, but again, he's picked up some momentum since then. Yeah, and if you don't already know, like I said, power in those hands. He's a knockout, knockdown type of guy. Like, that's his entire world. 19 TKO or KO wins. Oh, my word. This man, heavy fists. Fight of the night, keeping it standing. So if this guy's going to give you a fight of the night performance, it's because it stays on the feet. And he finds a little bit of trouble sometimes when he does get dragged to decision. But he's confident, and he's got that positive mindset, and he's back, baby. He is going against Mason Jones, who is also back. Mason had a UFC stint as well, so this is so high stakes in many ways because both of these men have a similar story and are really kind of in a need to get the momentum on the UFC scale. So that is really interesting matchmaking for sure. He's a lifelong martial artist around age 6, says he was a bit of an angry child who was bad at other sports. Okay, his words, not mine. I think that's hilarious. And he's a BJJ and kickboxing black belt. Mason Jones is really impressive. And he is actually a Cage Warriors 2 division champ, undefeated, which has only ever been done by Conor McGregor. Hello, that's some pretty important stuff. And as mentioned, he had a UFC stint, went to Cage Warriors, and is now coming back again on a 4-fight win streak. And he can't do gluten. This fight has violence written all over it, top to bottom. I am so excited to hear the crowd erupt for our Iowa representative, Jeremy Stephens. I have a feeling we have got some hardcore fans in the building. All right. I will be one of those people bursting my lungs, screaming for this man because he's representing his home. Both guys bringing their entire MMA arsenal. It is going to be fireworks, guaranteed. Next, we have more bantamweight baddies with the babyface killer going against Skater. So, the babyface killer, Cameron Smotherman, if you don't know him, I'm sure you will know him soon. He had a Dana White's Contender Series loss in 2023, but was called in short notice to get an impressive win in style. He has several Fury FC wins and was the champ as well, and he's not really into the sub world. So if there's one thing about him is that he's going to keep it striking. And he only has one win via submission, so it's in there, but nay a loss. So again, not really in the sub world either way, whether it's to win or to lose. And 50% of his wins do come with knockout, so he's definitely looking for the finish and really prioritizing the body attack. Again, shout out to James Lynch for an interview with Cameron Smotherman where we were able to find out he's been training with Diego Lopez, and he actually trained with Lopez for his fight against Volk and is training with him now, and you should see Adrian Yanez and Diego in his corner. So look out for that, and look out for this baddie. He is going against Sidey, the Humble Warrior. I mean, that could have been his nickname, but he likes to skate, so we put that in there too. He is seriously a great attitude type guy. Like, what a down-to-earth person who can really put on the violence, as pictured. He was very dominant as the BFL champ and BTC champ and made his way to the Dana White's Contender Series in 2023. And in his UFC debut, it was an absolute split war. And what happened in his second UFC appearance? Oh, just another split war. This man is War 101. He is ready for the dogfight. And he was really humble after his last win, saying that, he wasn't really sure if it was had gone his way, that maybe he thought it didn't. And yeah, he's just really humble. We love it. He's a skater boy. And I want to say congratulations on his recent engagement with his beautiful fiance. So adorable. Love it. This one's a stander. This one is a stand-up stander. We will be standing. We will be standing toe-to-toe, I imagine, trading and exchanging. Yes, I think that both men will be showing their durability, and I don't suspect that this one will end in a finish. I suspect it will end with blood. A bloody decision, to be specific. Next, we have Quick versus Son Cora in men's bantamweight. We are getting the bantamweight bouts out of this card. Montel Jackson is a star already, and if the bantamweight division wasn't so thick, I mean, this top 15er would be having a top 10 matchup sooner. He is on a 5-fight win streak with a KO win over Damon Blackshear that is aging more and more as time goes on with how successful Damon has been recently. Am I right? Dana White's Contender Series Season 2. So he's been here for a little bit, 2018, and he's a Midwest King. Shout out Milwaukee. So we will have a lot of Midwest cheers for Montel Jackson as well. He is a wrestler by nature, gone MMA, and has only lost via decision. So another extremely durable fighter on this card with a dangerous left hand. I feel like there's something about wrestlers that like to prioritize that left hand. I don't know. But he's a knockout artist. So using that wrestling more to neutralize, not exactly as a transition to any sort of grappling, because he's not a subber. He's not looking to sub you. He's looking to punch you. And unfortunately has had many canceled bouts. So I don't really know what's up with that. Obviously there is an answer, but I'm not sure about it. That's unfortunate, but we're happy to see him again. Quick Jackson. Montel Quick Jackson. Happy birthday to Montel Jackson. Belated birthday for 24. He is going against Daniel Marcos, the Peruvian. Daniel Soncora, which I think in Peruvian culture means strength, so that makes sense. And when I googled it, I got that little warrior pictured there. So yes, he is a 300 Sparta bantamweight champ and absolutely dominated in the regional scene, and only started doing MMA actually at age 21 as an opportunity for financial freedom. We love to see that. Dana White's Contender Series 2022 Strikerson. A Strikerson who's anti-submission. Neither won nor lost this way. I think that this will be another stander. I think this will be another stand-up, another box it out, strike it out. I think especially on Daniel Marcos' side, of course, he is pretty anti-submission, likes to keep it in the striking entirely. And I think that Montel is going to welcome that. And he has shown his durability, his tough as hell chin. And so I think it's going to be a chin test. I think this one will be, I suspect, another decision, but this is very, very exciting to see specifically Daniel Marcos, because he is still making his way in the UFC and still undefeated and ready for his biggest test yet in arguably the thickest division that the UFC has. Next, we make it to an incredible veteran matchup between the Argentine Dagger and D-Rod. The Argentine Dagger, Santiago Ponzinibbio, what a guy. We're talking charisma and a deadly finisher. He is 38 years old, so been in the game for a while, got a couple fights left. 17 knockouts, 6 submissions, tough Brazil to UFC 2013. He's actually the first ever Argentine fighter that was ever signed to the UFC, so history 101. But he's also a veteran just for everything he's accomplished and how long he's managed to stay in the game with a solid record. And he's also an analyst, so we appreciate him on the desk. He'll occasionally bring out his BJJ black belt when he feels like it, mostly to avoid getting submitted by you. He's never been subbed and still looking to keep it standing, though, and take your head off while he does so. ATT since 2015, one of the most loyal of their members. That's pretty awesome. 10 years at American Top Team, so it's working for him, right? Yeah. Worlds absolutely collided in his Michel Pereira fight. Michel, he's been looking a little lately, but that was such a quirk fight. And he is coming off of a TKO win. He's going against our LA man, D-Rod. I think D-Rod is obviously Daniel Rodriguez, but I just couldn't help but put that insane diesel vehicle in the corner there. So we accumulated Daniel Rodriguez from Bellator, one fight in Bellator actually, and then he went on to the Dana White's Contender Series and joined the UFC in 2020. I remember that distinctly, and it's been 8-4 so far, but some pretty good competition that he's faced. He has got a boxing foundation and only started to transition to MMA in his mid-20s. Hate it or love it is his motto. He is coming off of a split decision win against Alex Morono, who has been looking a little rocky lately, and was previously on a 3-fight losing streak. So good to end the skid, but kind of by a very close margin. He's very, very striky, mostly with the hands, but definitely mixes in the kicks, usually mixing them in low. And watch out, because his left hand is where he really generates the most of his power, and really in need of momentum right now. So, maybe D-Rod is going to be a little bit hungrier in there. We will see. This is a great veteran matchup. I mean, these are some really great names. I mean, Santiago Ponzinibbio is such a fun fighter. I think he's going to make this fight extra fun. I'm hoping that he really turns on the gas and that this one can be a little bit of a pressure fight. I'm expecting to see something crazy in there. Hopefully. We can only hope for crazy. Next, we made it to a very anticipated co-main event between RDR and Little Nickal, middleweights. Reiner de Ridder has made his way to number 13 miraculously after just 2 UFC fights. What the heck? He's been doing judo since he was 6 years old and is a BJJ black belt as well. So talk about sticky. This guy is one to stick on you and never let go. Yes, he was the one champion 2 times, and UFC, as mentioned very recently in 2024, this will be his 3rd appearance after steamrolling over Kevin Holland last and subby. So 2 subs in a row over Jared Marishart and Kevin Holland. Pretty dope, and he's a choker. Okay, the way he likes to submit is pretty choky. Mainly rear naked, but, just don't give him your neck. Don't give him your neck. He will take it. And his only losses are TKO and KO. So if you can finish him, that's how you're going to want to do it. He's also a physical therapist. That's very cool. He's smart. And he's very smiley and looks exactly like Freddy from Scooby-Doo, if you ask me. It's little Freddy. And he is going against baby Bo Nickal. He's not a baby, but, he has been a prodigy for long. Anyway, he's going against Bo Nickal, the wrestling prodigy. And when I say that, I mean it. If you don't know already. Freestyle, folk style, 3-time NCAA D1 champ, Dan Hodge trophy, which is like being the best wrestler. And he's literally been on the mat since birth. Okay? He came out of the womb and they just rolled him onto a wrestling mat. He was on the Dana White's Contender Series twice, where he had 2 wins, kind of a little lackluster, but made his way to the UFC in 2023 with a 4-0 appearance so far. He's been pretty smart with it. I think taking some, building himself, not major competition thus far, but he's on a 9-fight win streak and really has a lot to prove because while many people have had success in translating their wrestling to MMA, Pat Miletich, Matt Hughes, Robbie Lawler, sorry, we just have to bring it back to Iowa every time we can. Not everybody can make that transition, especially, with Matt Hughes, right? So Matt Hughes was capable of insane things just genetically, but it really was his work ethic and his soul that ultimately made him Matt Hughes, made him the incredible dominant champion that he was. And so that's what Bo Nickal is trying to discover about himself is, does he have it in him to take it from wrestling, an incredible foundation, I would argue the best foundation for MMA, and become truly MMA? Because that Paul Craig fight, that was not, Paul Craig and all that, that wasn't looking good. So this is a huge test for Nickal. And, gotta give some Nickal facts, right? He loves to fish. He loves hunting. He loves golfing. That's supposed to say fish, but it says finish, so ignore that. Anyway, that's supposed to say finish, or that's supposed to say fish, but it says finish, but fishing, hunting, golfing, getting out there. This is really exciting. I am very excited because I don't want to say suspicious, that's going too far, but I'm very curious. I'm very curious about Bo Nickal and how well the wrestling prodigy can really translate, into the full MMA, because we haven't really seen all of it yet. We haven't seen, a major test, and Reiner de Ridder, that guy is scary. So far, he's a legend already, already done a lot in the sport, and he's looked really good out there. So, yes, it's going to be interesting to see that wrestler-submitter combo. This is 100% the biggest test that Bo Nickal has faced. There is no doubt about it, and it is definitely his chance to elevate himself in the division, elevate his skill. People they're like, make him fight Hamzat. He's not ready. But this is the way. This is the road. So let's see what he makes of Rainier Day Ritter, a master submitter. Finally, we've made it to our main event, Deuce de Guerra versus Sandman. Davison Figueiredo, for some reason, a massive underdog. I think maybe it should be a little closer, but anyway. Deuce de Guerra, the god of war, who used to paint his head with the stripe, going a little Kratos with it. He prefers the finish. So God of War is definitely a really good title for his fighting style. I think he really showcases that. And he's the former 2-time UFC flyweight champ. I mean, an absolute gamer, has now made the transition to bantamweight. Let's never forget, though, the Moreno 4-fight saga epic. Can we never forget? Yes. But finding his way in bantamweight, 3-1 so far, so it's been looking good. Coming off of the decision loss to Jan, which I think plays a really big role in his stance as a massive underdog on the betting lines right now. He's ground strikes all over, really likes to enact that violence. So if he can knock you down and get you falling, he's going to try and chase you there and pound on you some more. So only been finished twice and pretty much can win in every way. So he is a complete fighter. He's also a hairstylist. So, i.e. the stripe. He's done so many jobs. I mean, taxi driver, cowboy, sushi chef. I don't know how cowboy is a job, but sushi chef. And transitioned from Team Alpha Male to Team Figueiredo Gym. So continuing to find his way and finding what works for him. Corey the Sandman Sandhagen, LFA to UFC 2018. He is a dude doing his best. He is the WKA World Kickboxing Champ, one of the best strikers in the game. He likes to think of himself as having the best left hand in the division, and I think you can make a case for that. He's very active with the strikes, and that left hand does damage. Not much of a finisher, but it stuns you, and he puts on the work. Coming off of the loss to Umar, which was the title eliminator. So, but Umar went on to, of course, then lose to Merab. So it's all, we're building a story here. And he is pretty, I think from that fight, he's really improved his takedown defense. I think Corey gets a lot of unneeded slack about being too striky, not having a lot to do with the wrestling, being submission vulnerable. And he's tackling that, okay? He's never been knocked out. He's a mushroom guy, all right? Vegan CA founder. So get your mushrooms. He is a fight of the night, performance of the night type, 2 in each of those categories because he puts on the stamina, he puts on the pace with those strikes. We love to see it. Very funny, very chill, and happy belated birthday, 420. Davison Figueiredo and Corey Sandhagen are fighters through and through, and they really have an incredible technical arsenal. Corey will be coming in with a pretty massive reach advantage, which he's used to having. And I think people are thinking that he's just going to be able to do more and control more, and that Davison's not going to be able to knock him out, that his durability will bring him to the end. I do think that Corey Sandhagen has the durability and the skill set to come out on top of this matchup. I think that both men are going to be wanting to keep it standing, keep it on the feet. And I think Corey maybe is going to do a little more there, but I think the odds should be a little closer. I'm leaning Corey as the favorite, but I think that this is going to be competitive, of course. I mean, both of these guys have accomplished a lot in the sport, and both of them are trying to find a way back into that title narrative. So this is going to be an exciting matchup for sure. I expect it will be quite competitive, but I'm thinking that Corey is going to get a little bit more done out there. He's going to outstrike. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see our Quirksters out there. What fight are you most looking forward to? I gotta say, I am most looking forward to Marina Rodriguez versus Jillian Robertson as a Jillian Robertson fan, and I'm curious about that setup of the classic grappler submitter against the striker, but also super excited for the co-main and main event because they have some pretty big implications. Bo Nickal getting a really massive test. A lot of people got their binoculars on trying to do a fraud check, and this is a big opportunity for him. And then Davison and Corey trying to make a statement for themselves to get that title shot. So UFC is finally back in Iowa. Shout out to the Miletich fighting system. Shout out to the many legends of the UFC that found their roots, found their soul in Iowa, surrounded by a bunch of cornfields. They got humble and they made it happen. Never forget. I hope to see, maybe we will see Pat Miletich in the crowd. I hope so. I hope we see Robbie Lawler. I hope we see Tim Sylvia. I hope we see I hope we see Matt Hughes, of course. Yeah, there are so many Iowa legends, and it's about dang time that we are back in the state that has given so much to the sport. I know that the fans are going to be losing their mind. I can't wait to be in the building and be a witness to the chaos. It is going to be ruckus. People have been waiting for this. So many people, so many lifelong fans have been waiting almost 25 years. Yes, for the UFC to return to their state. So welcome to UFC back to Iowa. And yeah, let me know what fight you are most looking forward to. If you have a favorite thing about Iowa, mine would probably be the Mississippi River or the Quad Cities pizza. But this fight won't be in the Quad Cities. Anyway, let me know anything at all, really. This is going to be my first ever UFC event in person, and I am glad that I picked one of such historic nature. So if you see me at UFC Iowa, if you're there, say hello. I'll be there with my brother. It's going to be a whole family affair, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see this moment in history. Where are you going to be watching it? Let me know.
I think the main reason mixed martial arts is so misunderstood is because the general layman perceives it as just flat out human on human violence, and that's ugly to the normal human. To a guy that's a trained fighter, it's us testing our skills against another human being that's trained in the same thing we have. That's why we can stand up after pounding each other and shake each other's hands and give each other a hug and say, great fight, and you're a great person, and respect each other with true honesty. To the general person, that's not possible. It's not conceivable. And I think that's why through history, warriors have been probably the most compassionate people in the world, is because we see the worst in people and the best in people. And, we have true respect for each other, so we just respect people in general.